Feminine traits in women men find attractive. Welcome. A woman who walks in femininity, walks in her strength, and I am going to give you 5 feminine attributes that men find appealing in women. Now listen, I am a big believer that tapping into your feminine energy is a great and amazing thing. Not just how to attract a man or relationship, but also your peace of mind, your health, and for your general happiness. So, when I explore these topics, I want you to have an open mind on how this is genuinely beneficial to you as a woman. But as I previously indicated, this offers you the ability to shine in a way that attracts not just men, but also opportunities. It will indeed open up the world for you. And now I have another video that I'm going to connect to the conclusion. So watch this all the way to the end because I'll give you 9 more. But let's get the first 5 I want to emphasize, especially in this video. The first is a woman who expresses herself today. And I know some of you are saying, hell no, because these men never want to chat or to listen. Okay, what do you mean by expressing yourself? Of course, let me break it down for you. So, believe it or not, there is something crucial to remember as a woman. What works in a healthy relationship or a nice man will not work for the other men. And it's crucial to remember this because I see a lot of women apply what went wrong with all these wrong guys. With all these toxic men and all men who never belonged to your life. And argue, well, since it didn't work here, it doesn't work everywhere, which is not accurate. So, when it comes to expressing yourself, the fact is that man who is genuinely interested in being with you, the one who has true serious intentions, okay, he wants you to express yourself. He wants you to be frank. He wants you to be transparent. He wants you to express yourself. He wants you to be frank, and he wants you to be transparent, and he wants you so for a variety of reasons. Once a man cares about you and wants to be the same wavelength as you, and your willingness to explain yourself provides for more clarity in the connection. Confusion is one of the most frustrating things for a man. The certainty that many males have with women, I don't say that they condemn or I make women to feel terrible, appears to be problematic in the sense that they struggle to provide clarity at times. But the fact is that there is a gap in many instances between how many women communicate, not all but many, and how many women expect men to pick up their moods in their communication. So for example, I've trained a lot of married couples, and let's just they have having a problem in the bedroom, okay? And the person and the spouse and the lover who never comes to me. Confusion is one of the most frustrating things for a man. The uncertainty that many males have with women, and I don't say that to condemn or to make women to feel terrible, appears to be problematic in the same sense that they struggle to provide clarity at times. But the fact is that there is a gap in many instances between how many women communicate, not all but many, and how many women expect men to pick up on their mode of communication. So, for example, I've trained a lot of married couples, and let's just suppose that they're having a problem in their bedroom, okay? And the person and the spouse and the lover, whoever comes to me and acts as if I don't know what to do, you know, I need help. So I approach the lady and say, well, he simply doesn't understand, but he's willing, and her answer will be, why do I have to tell him what to do? I have been with him for a long time. How can he be so oblivious to the warning signs? Sure, he doesn't comprehend me anymore. And while I'm using a long-term relationship as an example, this happens through the courting period, as well as there is expectation of how, don't you know better? How come you're not you're more praying and you're paying attention to everything? Nothing ever gets past a woman. She may choose to ignore, to justify it, or make excuses for it. And guys, pretty much everything that men do, we are not as alert, we are not as detail oriented as women. As a result, we require more direct communication about how you're feeling, that's going on, and what you require for that connection to be done. So, returning to the initial point, a woman who is willing to express herself is a desirable woman, and it's a lovely thing because it again provides more sincerity and clarity to the relationship. And if you say it again, I have tried so many times to be transparent and expressive, but I have been shut off hand and exploited. I want you to see that, and you're working in your femininity. Being expressive was not the issue, it was you were attempting to express yourself with. Your choice of guys at the time was an issue, but not the real feminine action of being more expressive, open, and allowing yourself to flow. This is a lovely thing and emphasizes why is it only for the purpose of the relationship and attracting a man, but it's for your benefit. Since you should listen to evaluate, to reflect, and of the relationship or the circumstances that you have been in, plus you didn't feel comfortable to express yourself. Where you had to hold back, you didn't have to, but you decided to, and you didn't have much of a choice since, once again, this individual didn't listen and wasn't responsive to you. It produced tension in you as well as wrath and resentment and frustration. It takes away your tranquility, and that's what happens to people in general when we have to repress our emotions, which throws everything off. So being able to walk freely in just being expressive is a beautiful thing that will affect you on so many levels. But it will also help you to connect even deeper with a man who's serious about you, and I will argue who you have, because I want you to be with a man that you have connection with. Not just any random guy that you can attempt to make it work with. But I am not finished. Being expressive, where we are not going on the next point just yet, since there is another portion to come. Sorry, but this is another aspect of being expressive. And let me start with this. I once read a book that I always forget the name of the book. One day, I remember it, but basically it is the book. This man starts surveying couples who leave after they have obtained their marriage certificate. So the split of the marriage licenses is fine. And he will survey them and ask them all these different things. And one of the questions that he will ask the ladies is, why did they choose this guy to marry? And one of the most popular responses that he receives was pretty simple statement. I want you to hear it clearly. Because she liked me. I'm going to repeat that one more time so that you can register, because she liked me. What exactly does this mean? The fact is that many guys are trained to pursue the lady, to lay out the red carpet, to go after her if they truly want to be with her. And I'm not necessarily arguing at the time. However, many men do not have the experience of a woman effectively giving them the same energy by vocal in a desire to demonstrating to him that she wants him as much as he wants her. And once again, in a way that understands, because women may feel as if she's doing this for that. Of course, I'm showing him that I desire him, but it doesn't register with him. Learning to be more articulate and to express your desires impacts a man in a manner that I don't believe many women comprehend. Even in the point that I have witnessed circumstances when guys who are drawn to women virtually not exclusively because of their readiness to communicate desire. What I'm setting out for you is in a narrative of a guy who met this young lady and they became friends, and while they were all hanging around, he met a female acquaintance of the group who began flirting with him. Now, in his view, she was cute, but he didn't feel compelled to pursue her. It wasn't like, oh my God, all right, I want her, this is it, this is my wife, or anything like that. Oh, cute, but wasn't really it. So he just kind and left it alone. But she would flatter him and do all these things that was him expressing it to me. It will make him really feel fantastic. And what happened was, wherever he and his buddies got together, she was present, and he found himself gravitating to her even more, to the point where she became more beautiful to him. I know we speak a lot about the physical and the visual that guys are drawn to. I am not discounting or denying that. However, there are layers to how other things may make someone appealing even when it males. Because I believe we understand it when it comes to women, but it can happen in numerous ways as guys as well, alright? It may not be as intense as it may with women at times, but it does exist in any case. However, there are layers of how other things may make someone appealing, even when it comes to males. Because I believe we all understand it when it comes to women, but it can happen in numerous ways with guys as well. Alright? It may not be as intense as it may be with women at times, but it does exist in any case. Her openness displays desire to draw him, and he found himself wanting to pursue her. He found himself wanting to be with her because of how she made him feel and the willingness to display what was crucial. Now, don't believe it was just because he saw her as a nice chick. She was beautiful to him, so I don't want you to think that male expressing desire will get you any man you want, right? However, it may play a significant part in making things to happen and moving things forward. I also feel the need to remind you that many of you have witnessed the scenarios when individuals are married or in a relationship and the male decides to cheat at some time in the relationship, okay? When the lady discovers who the other woman is, she doesn't appear anything like as good as his companion, sometimes to the point that the women wonder what the heck is going on. Was it true that he cheated on me with this woman? I'm not trying to be harsh. I am simply stating that this is what occurs, and we all know it exists. When many people don't realize that when you dive into the case and figure out what led this man to cheat on his relationship with someone less attractive, especially when they consider how guys are drawn to the physical and the visible. It's about stuff like woman expressing desires to him. This lady is accommodating to him, and I'll go through the same other items on this list of this video, but the openness and the communication desire plays a significant part to this. Before we continue, I'd like to provide one more example. I swear I'll move on to the next one. Another scenario in which this occurs frequently is when a man lays two ladies in his life at the same time. And one lady is a more traditional, nice girl, whatever you want to call her. And the other one is, well, wild. She's simply insane, okay? And a lot of cases, the man selects the insane one, and you're like, what the hell is this? And what it boils down to is in many cases, is that her madness, she displays and expresses desire. She has no issue of saying to this man and telling this man, I want you in my mind, and your mind, you ain't going nowhere, and I am going to battle to the death to have you. I hope not to the death, but that's how passionate she is. Whereas the good girl, conservative one, is more casual. If he wants me, he has to come get me. And I get why she will think that way. But taking a step back, she's not recognizing that you are not even showing him that you want him. Now, you are not demonstrating that you are appreciating him. And men like to be wanted, desired, and to be cherished. When a woman is able to explain herself, to be more forthright, offer clarity and clarify and desires these things, are highly tempting to a guy and will bring him closer to you. Alright? Another enticing feminine attribute is open-mindedness, and more precisely not being judgmental, okay? I believe this is another unsaid and unspoken issue that I've witnessed in a variety of settings and relationships where let's start with being open-minded. When you analyze interactions between men and women, and I believe you will find that women who are open-minded at times when the male is a little more rigid. You know, and it depends, I'll say, once upon a time, and I'm not sure it truly applies in today's environment, but once upon a time, males were more strict. Our women were a little more open and free. And we say that this was because women were walking in feminine energy. Men were more manly in their energy, which generated the type of dynamic. However, the fact that a guy does not want to cope up with the extremely strict lady, of course, there is exceptions to any rule. They want to believe that the lady is that open-minded, that free-flowing energy that brings balance that the man's life. So even though he might be a little stiff, when often balanced, our relationship, whether consciously or subconsciously. And we want that individual who can draw us out of the shells, so to speak, or who can just offer balance to the relationship. So guys, like to believe that she is more open-minded, but to go deeper, I am simply going to keep it genuine with you all. Many times, open-mindedness is sought to the realm of a sexual connection. So let's just keep it genuine. And I believe that if I had the identity, we have had men complain most about women's rigidity. It will be in the bedroom. Now, everyone has their own line to draw, and I'm not here to tell you how far you may go beyond it. Okay? You have to discover that you are more comfortable with and satisfied with, which is why I feel you should take these things before we go deep in the relationship, before we get married, and even before we have sex with one another. I believe we should have dialogues about our thoughts, our sexuality, and our wants in order to determine whether we are the same page or actually capable of fulfilling one another in that way. However, bear in mind that I believe that and I understand that when women feels comfortable and safe in a relationship, she's more likely to open herself, whether it's sexually or in a variety of different ways. When I recognize a man's position in this dynamic, I believe that a woman, you must own that energy. You have to come into it, and again I draw your line wherever it is, but you have to come in to that, not putting it on him to get you to that more open-minded place, but being more open-minded while maintaining your standards of what you want in return. What needs to be returned to in order for you to continue pouring into him, and this way. When you can demonstrate open-mindedness, I believe it produces a better vibe and a climate in the partnership. But when we speak about being judgmental, I think it's essential to recognize that, we talk about the guy struggling to open up to women, and I have seen that happen in a lot of marriages where part of it is because he sees how judgmental and you towards other people. If you're a woman, let me mention this because I'll put it in my coming videos, which was really for the guys. It's called How to Persuade a Woman to Have Sex With You if you are the husband or partner, right? And one of the arguments that I'm making is that if a woman notices that man is highly judgmental of women in general, she may feel uneasy opening out about certain things or even being more sexually loose with him. You know how she's willing to maneuver the situation because she doesn't want him to look down on her, to criticize her. So she's kind remains in that shell, but has consequences. The fact is that it also occurs the other side. Whereas if he sees that you're extremely judgmental of other people in general, or very judgmental of women and all these things, it doesn't make him to feel comfortable to come to you about certain things because he feels like you're going to be basically turn that wrath on him. Learn how not to be, and I believe it indeed for all of us as human beings, men and women, learn not to carry such a judgmental mentality. And when I say judgmental spirit, I'm aware that some may object that you are meant to evaluate others in a sense of appraising individuals. Yes, assessment, but not to the point that you condemn and writing people off, directing the bad energy to others because you want to look down, because you dispute, or because you're not into the things we're not into, all right? That's a life that you know. What don't you need to look down on each other because of our differences? I believe it's vital to realize that coming in with an open mind, having an open-minded mindset, and not being judgmental can absolutely help you in your relationship with guys. Okay, before I move on to the next point, which is going to be a doozy, I am going to let you know right now. A lot of you are always asking me one-to-one coaching on how you can have this question addressed, as well as learning how to tap into your feminine energy, heal, and discover your purpose. Well, alright, I got you covered. Hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed, and also join my Patreon community. You can click on the link below in the comments area, or go to www.patreon.com/realwisdom to become a VIP member and get the opportunity to get to me to cover any area that you want me to address, and as you support this show. Thousands of women are already enrolled in this program and are receiving a lot of assistance that they need to graduate to achieve fantastic results in their relationship and marriage life. And I want you to have the same experience. So, once again, go to www.patreon.com/wisdom and click on the link description below. So, number 3, I'm not going to lie, I was hesitant to put on this list, and then I thought about putting it in the very end of the list, but God pushed me in the spirit to put it here and talk about this. Let's just get to it. So the third feminine attribute that men find alluring is being submissive. Now I know that you're thinking, many of you dislike the word submissive, and it may quite be upsetting, and I want you to grasp something very clearly right now. This isn't about allowing some man to be your dictator. It's about being a weak vessel, unable to lead yourself because you are incapable of holding yourself up, okay? It's just a matter of knowing the favorable dynamics of men and women in a partnership. A heterosexual relationship, here's what you need to understand. And let me start by stating this. What it is that I have learned through the years of 7 to 9 years. What I have discovered is that I've issued at the hearts of this conversation. The issue of the heart of this topic is not actually about submitting. It's about trusting the guy to lead you, okay? And it's critical that we put it out, because I usually tell women that if an angel could come down from heaven right now and say, listen, God's going to send you this guy, she would. This man will never hurt you, will never cheat on you, and will be all you need to be. All you need to do is submit to him. Okay? Where can I acquire one of these? Because once again, it's not an issue of many women accept subordination if they feel secure there. Many people reject it because they have an opinion of the males and their capacity to be. The security of trusting a guy in a long-term causes women to reject the concept of servitude. Now, recognize that both sides of submitting to each other than we talk about it from a spiritual standpoint. The man submits to his wife and the lady submits to her husband. Yet, there is levity. But then, there's a next level, as it were. So if you look at from the 3 perspective, it looks like this. There's a layer 1 in which a woman and a man succumb to each other, yielding to one another's wants and pouring into each other. You know what I mean by when I say they are working as a team. Layer 2 is that a woman is submitting to a guy, which is more like acknowledging him and the head of the family and allowing him to be the complete leader. And it's crucial to realize that giving him the lead in the sense does not mean you don't have a voice. I do not support removing a woman's voice, but I do urge for relieving her of her burden. And I believe that when a woman is in a proper relationship with the right guy and is able to submit, she is free, she's able to walk more in a feminine energy, and she's at ease. She doesn't have to bear the load of, I have to get this done, I have to accomplish this, I have to make this choice, and so on. It doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion or that you don't consider how to feel, because he should, or always support that with mates. But it simply implies that he has earned your trust and not merely gained your trust. If you're with someone that you feel God wants you to be with, you believe God enough to say, okay, if you are saying it's the guy for me. As a result, the third layer is a man yielding to God. So listen, as a man of God, I will not urge any woman to submit to a guy who does not subject to God. I'm not saying that you can't have this dynamic outside a spiritual relationship and among believers, but this is a notion of dynamic which I want to deal. So I'm going to give it along to the viewers, but the free apply it to your own way if you like. As a result, the third layer of this is a man yielding to God. As a man of God, I am not going to urge any woman to submit to a guy who isn't subject to God. I'm not saying that you can't have this dynamic outside a spiritual relationship. And the people that believe this is a notion or dynamic which I work on, right? So I'm going to pass it along to the viewers, but you are free to apply it to your own way if you like. And once again, it is not seen negatively because both parties' motives are positive. And so the thing that women must understand, because I know many of them will say, well, if these men will simply be more manly and they will be more trustworthy, and if they will lead, I will have no issues. But as I previously stated, if a woman is emotionally healthy, the difficulty is that if you're not emotionally well as a woman, you will not only limit your capacity to work with your femininity in general. But what will happen in these instances when you come across masculinity guy is that you'll most likely find yourself becoming more feminine and submissive while this man, but since you have not healed those unhealed aspects of yourself, they will poke you and say, hey, what's going on here? Don't give him that much power over you. I'm repeating it again because that's what your terrible demon on your shoulder will actually tell you, okay? But that's not what he's trying to do. He's acting as if he's not trying to dominate you, but your unhealed parts and begin to frame it to negativity. You'll begin to feel like, wait a minute, I am too exposed here. Wait a second, what's going on here? So now is a challenge to maintain femininity and to maintain the submissiveness that the relationship, because you have to heal first. Realize that it's a crucial component of the picture. You can't expect a man to make you more feminine. That's not his obligation. It's for you, and like I stated at the start of this video, it's for your own health. Before you ever meet a man, you must learn to move in the energy and spirit. And that's another thing to realize when we speak about submission. Because many women will say, I don't mind if it's the proper person, if he displays leadership and all these other things, right? But the trouble is that you don't even appear to be capable of doing so. So the man who is capable of leading in love, pouring into you and making sure you're okay, doesn't see the spirit leaving your body. He's like, well, I'm going to leave this one alone because she appears to be too tough, too walled up. Whatever it is, it just repels him, and it's vital to understand. Why is healing important? Why walking in your feminine is important? Why understanding how to tap into the always going to be what's most useful to you in your everyday life, but also what's going to allow you to boost your capacity to connect with the right person and have an awesome, healthy relationship, all right? We now have a fourth feminine attribute that men find irresistible: being appreciative and thankful. But my soul made me say no. Glad and appreciative. Today, I believe all relate in the same manner. I want to go through everything, but being grateful and appreciative comes first. So let's take a brief look into not being entitled, down to earth. I believe that more down to earth you are, the more easy you will be. I indicated in the other video that you'll watch after this about 9 extra attributes. When I talk about the sense of humor, I'm not talking about being uptight. I'm talking about being free-flowing, because feminine energy is very free-flowing, loving, joyous energy. When you're down to earth, you're just mellow. Everything is less serious, about laid back, and that's incredibly appealing because the sort of spirit provides more peace and harmony to the relationship. Now, not being entitled is questionably one of the difficulties. That, well, this is where entitlement, appreciation, and gratefulness are intertwined, because we have to be entitlement. You will struggle to exhibit appreciation and gratitude, because in your head This is what you meant to do. Like, what the hell? You want the cookie. What do you want me to do? Since you did this way, but a man doesn't. No. Stop all that. Stop all that. Like, listen, anything someone does for a guy, woman, or child doesn't matter because the decision that they are making. We must learn to appreciate the decisions that individuals make to do good for us, to invest in us, to be honest unto us, and to do all these other things. And whenever we demonstrate the appreciation, I always emphasize it breeds output. So you want to abolish the entitlement mentality, right? Nobody owes us anything. Nobody, and it doesn't mean that you should have standards in the relationship or that you shouldn't convey that you're looking for what it takes to be with you. But at the same time, recognize that every time that you check that box and do the right thing, support it, embrace it, and celebrate it, and you know what I mean. Think about how that relationship will be, how that love will come together if we only can show each other appreciation. Until next time, have a good one and see you in the next one.